Welcome, my friends, to the Black Diamond Call for Monday, November 21st. John Lavenia is here with you, as I always am, on Monday nights for our festivities. Tonight we're going to be having a guy who you've heard from briefly on one of our wake-up calls, and he's going to be sharing a full session with us here tonight. I'm very excited to hear more about his story and how he has created some tremendous results for himself as an online marketer and as someone who, in my assessment, is a great asset here inside Digital Altitude. But, of course, before we get to that, let me give you my usual opening oratory for the Black Diamond Call, especially for our brand new people who may be joining us for the first time. If this is your first time in the Black Diamond Call, this call is a little bit different than some of the other things that you'll hear here inside the Digital Altitude community. Of course, we've got our wake-up calls in the morning. And we've got On the Rise on Wednesday nights where we talk about how-to, nuts and bolts strategies and topics right out of the Rise program. But the Black Diamond call is unique in the fact that nothing is really pre-planned or pre-scripted on this call. That we have a different guest host usually every week. We have somebody different. In fact, always every week we have somebody different where you get to hear about their experience, how they got to the top. That's what this call is about, hence the title Black Diamond. This is expert level stuff. So you're going to hear a variety of different ideas and strategies and things that may inspire and instruct you and hopefully shorten your learning curve and hasten your path to the top to the point where you can accomplish more in less time, which is, of course, one of the main reasons why I started this call, is to get you exposure to and interaction with people who have done very well in the business that you're engaging in. And I can tell you, after years of hosting calls like this, that I also gained quite a bit from this experience, right? No man is an island, and so here we have an opportunity for us to get together and hear it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So you're going to hear my opinion on stuff and also my guest host tonight, and take what you like and leave the rest. You'll see how these ideas apply into your business, right? Some of them will resonate with you. And some things you may be like, wow, that's an interesting idea. I don't know. How does that fit with me? The point is that there is room at the top for anyone who chooses to take resourceful ideas and apply them in ways that are going to be profitable in your life. And as I always say on the Black Diamond Call, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. Again, this is not about being comfy and just being politically correct or anything like that. It's more about just saying it the way it is and getting the message out. So once again, hopefully saving you time and getting you speed and momentum. Business likes speed, so we'd like to go fast on the Black Diamond. So that being said, tonight's topic, and the person we're going to bring out to illuminate this topic, the word that comes up for me is perseverance. You know, back a few years ago, I created a training product, a variety of training products, in fact, and one of them was focused on this whole idea of perseverance, and whether it's an art or a science, right? Because we hear about in the entrepreneurial, space, and going through personal development books. And I mentioned on the wake-up call this morning, I mentioned an excerpt from one of the classic personal development books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And we hear about things like persistence and perseverance, and we hear stories about people who have risen up from the ashes, right? Like the phoenix rising up from the wreckage. In fact, I was just talking with one of our students here in Digital Altitude who has had a hard time of it prior to finding Digital Altitude and showing up here. They had some adversity. Now, that's probably not a unique situation, right? I mean, you could say, well, sure, John, I've faced adversity myself. Who hasn't, right? But I can tell you this, that the separation of people who just kind of, they stop right there when they've had adversity. And the separation between that type of a person versus the person who gets through it, who perseveres, which is literally what that word means, okay, is to get through severity, persevere. Per meaning through, severe, severity, right? So to get through your problems and to emerge victorious on the other side. These are the people of note. These are people who we can look at and say, here's an example of what happens when you don't give up. Here's an example of what happens when you have a reason to get past the adversity and a reason to evolve, yes, to actually evolve and become bigger than your circumstances and the things that would stop a lot of people. I mean, let's face it, right? If success was easy, it would be mediocrity. This isn't just for people who need it, it's for people who want it, and for people who want it bad enough that they're willing to persevere, they're willing to get through these adversities. And when I was talking to the students earlier today, it occurred to me in my own life that there have been times where I've faced adversity, and it was things that showed up in my life right before reaching a higher level, a higher goal, perhaps a higher income, some breakthrough in my life, some big advancement that I was getting close to reaching a goal, and here comes all this adversity, right? And to me, what that means is that I'm actually outgrowing my current station in life. In other words, for me to evolve, for me to go from this perhaps comfort zone of what I already know and what I've already gotten accustomed to, but for me to go to that, from that to reaching my goal, sometimes it seems like the conditions are crumbling all around me, right? And we can call that adversity. We can call that severe circumstances. But isn't it true that for us to get to some great breakthrough, for us to reach these higher levels of personal fulfillment and achievement and self-expression, isn't it true that we have to shed off those outworn methods that are no longer serving us? It's not comfortable. Nobody said it would be comfortable. But isn't it necessary that we become something more in order to achieve something more? I mean, the great German philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said that one must be something in order to do something. Yes, so becoming something more precedes having something more. And of course, the bridge from being to having is doing. So we be it, then we do it, and then we have it in that order. And sometimes we get kicked out of the nest, right? Like the baby eagle who has to learn how to fly. Here comes Mama Eagle, says, here's the boot, right? Or the claw in this case. Get out of here and go fly. That's adversity, right? That's severe circumstances. Here comes gravity. Here comes the ground. You're going to learn. You're going to learn quick, okay? And that is sometimes the things that we've experienced as entrepreneurs. And I know I'm not just speaking for myself. The things that we've experienced as entrepreneurs as we've committed ourselves to this higher level of achievement and these goals that we're here to reach, and here comes perhaps the job that's falling apart or some other circumstantial disaster in our lives. So is it, as I mentioned earlier, is it an art or is it a science to get through adversity? Is it something that can be duplicated? Is it something that anybody who just wants their goals bad enough can get through and can get to the other side and can do something of note, something that we can look at maybe on this call, right, like we're about to do tonight, but maybe you right now as you're hearing this, maybe a few months from now, you're the guest on this call and you're telling the story of how you got through the situations to get to, that higher level of results in your life. And that is, I think, terribly inspiring. And of course, the person we're going to be bringing out tonight to share with us how they've persevered and how they've become a person at the top of their game inside the online marketing world is a guy who I've gotten to know for the past few months as we've been building this whole digital altitude thing. Here's a guy who has, interestingly, he lost everything in a fire, right? So there's some adversity, right? So this isn't just, we're not just talking metaphorically here or, just based on theory. We're talking about real life stuff, okay, that happens. And it happened to this guy. He lost everything in a fire. He wound up having years that he spent in Japan, becoming a six-figure earner, and really tapping into himself to find some great resources within himself and to get back up, right? To get back on the horse, so to speak. So before I go on and on and on and gush enthusiasm about our guest tonight, let me just bring him out here. Mr. Jason Majoue, welcome to the call, sir. How are you?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
I'm good. I can. I can hear you. You sound loud and clear.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for having me out for the call here. It's a pleasure and a privilege. And, let me know if you want to let me go ahead and go into my story and help everybody out here, or if you got some questions for me first.
You know what, Jason? I'm just excited to have you here on a long format call. The other time we've had you out here was, I believe it was a wake-up call. And, we get
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes together or whatever, but to get your full perspective on how you went from what I think virtually everyone would consider, devastating circumstances, to here you are, not only a person who's created great value in your own life, but you're creating value in the lives of others as well. So I'm very excited to share that, not only the story, but the instructive bits that we can glean from your story as we listen. So yeah, go ahead and take it away. By the way, did I say your name right? I think I finally got it right. Majoue.
Yes, Jason Majoue. Yep, you're great.
There you go. Everybody, when I first met Jason, I called him Jason Majoue. Majoue, right? It's a tell me again, what is the origin of that? That's like
Yeah, it's like a Cajun type of last name because I'm originally from New Orleans, aka New Orleans. So yeah, that's where that kind of came from there.
fantastic. Well, great to hear you again. So yeah, take it away, my friend. I'll be right here, and I may inject some ideas as we go.
Okay, great. Hey, I appreciate that, John. So yeah, I'm going to take it away here, guys, and pay close attention and take notes or take mental notes if you're driving your car. And I just want you guys to, remember this, whether you're listening to this as a recording or if you're listening to this live, that there's a lot of things in here that can really help you because all of us, we have a story, and I have some stories that I can share with you that can really help you, whether you're in the middle of something or you've been through something and you're still like in that victim situation and you are struggling with persevering or giving up type situation or just not getting the results that you want in your life or your business or your health or your marriage or whatnot. So I'm going to share some of that with you as well. And just like what John shared here, I've gone through some stuff with the early days of figuring out myself as an entrepreneur versus my aspirations to travel the world, including going to Japan and learning the culture, to almost pretty much losing everything and in a fire and almost including my life, to experiences with working for Apple in Japan and eventually in America, to doing things like what John was sharing earlier, where I got into the whole MLM space and then the online business space, and then eventually getting to the six-figure earner level, and then other things that have come along the journey here that's helped me get to where I'm at now. So now that you kind of got a high-level overview of that, I want to go into the first part. First off, I just want to say, when it's reaching back over to the fire point there, I am grateful to be alive. I wonder how many of you guys are on this call or listening to this recording that you've probably been through something where you almost died from something, or maybe you had someone else that passed away, and you start really thinking about the purpose of life again, and you start wondering what is that purpose, and what is the importance of it. And you really look at your situation, and maybe somebody went to the hospital, or you just really come to appreciate life, and it gives you a new motivation to really take that to the next level and say, what, how can I do something different so that I don't live a life full of regrets? Because one of the things I learned from people who were alive and they lived for many years, they weren't sad about the things that they did do. They were sad about the things they did not do. And so that gave me a lot of perspective through my life, and I hope you guys remember that you don't want to live a life full of regrets, so that when you become older and you're on your deathbed or you're in that hospital, you look back and you start crying, thinking about, wow, I wish I would have taken more risk with this in life, or I would have taken more actions with this. Don't be the wish I would have person. Take action now. Don't be scared to jump. And so that's where I'm coming in with the fire story here now, and that is there was a situation where I was running my own business. It was an offline related business and related into the music and video and entertainment industry. And my partner and I at that time, we were running a business out of our home, and unfortunate circumstance happened where fire started in the home there. And basically, short story was, I was taking a shower at the time, and I didn't even notice that the fire was starting to happen inside the home. And it was really crazy because had my partner had not got back to my home to check on something because he forgot something at home, he would have, still doing his thing there. I probably could have almost lost my life there had he not come back, or I would have been stuck inside the bathroom. So I came out of there when he was banging on the door, and then he had to run out real quick. He was trying to get a fire extinguisher. I was trying to hurry up and get a fire extinguisher, but and we had basically saw like the place, blazing on fire. We're just like, well, okay, let's do whatever it takes to be using, here we go again, perseverance to put out the fire, right? And basically we did our best. We used up like 3 or 4 extinguishers out in areas where we had, some backup extinguishers and stuff, and borrowed stuff from other people. Were running, trying to hurry up and, take care of this, because it was going to take a while for the police and the fire department to do that, because we were about to like lose all of our stuff, including our business, our belongings, everything. And so we did our best, and it was crazy. Long story short with that is that we tried to put it out, and the fire and the smoke just got so overwhelming that we had to duck out of there. And here me, Jason, good old Jason, doesn't want to give up, doesn't want to, just let this go down like this. I was going to be persevering and try to, be a hero and put it out. And I kept trying to do different things to put it out, and no matter what. And had I stayed in there just a few seconds longer, according to the trained fire professionals, I would have lost my life, because I wasn't doing the typical drop, stop, and roll type thing. I was doing like just trying to put things out, and I was getting so much smoke in my lungs and my eyebrows. My little goatee and mustache was almost getting burned off. I mean, you can imagine here I'm in my boxer shorts. That's all I have on me, and it was just crazy, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I was feeling like I was literally like almost burning up, like sitting in the oven. I felt like I was, in the middle of like a huge heat war or something like that. And so, definitely having gone through that fire like that, almost, losing my life, because I almost felt like I was about to pass out, I rushed out of the house, and luckily the fire department came at a time, but unfortunately, by the time they came, the whole place burned down. I lost everything, including my business, and all I had left over with was just tons of student loan debt, because I just graduated from college, and I just taken out a whole bunch of business loans for my business, and so that's all I had to show for it was debt, and all I had physically was just boxer shorts. So I had to like basically go to a Target. Some neighbors, felt bad for me. They actually, gave me like a little bit of money to go over to the Target, and I'll have to tell you, that was one of the most embarrassing, humiliating moments of my life, where I had to walk into a Target, and customers were like staring at me, what's going on? Seeing this guy come in the store with basically just a boxer shorts on, and really trying to hurry up and just literally like rebuild my life from the bottom. I mean, if you want to talk about bare bones bottom, that was it right there, where I had nothing. I'd lost everything. I'd lost a whole bunch of like this sense of, wanting to do anything, and like just like super in shock and traumatized, right? And it wasn't until like obviously a few days had passed. I had obviously had a lot of thought. Luckily, I was blessed with connecting with some people to stay at their place. But obviously, I couldn't think about like wow, what happened? Like my life, my business, all my belongings. Like I thought about all that stuff, and yeah, some of that stuff can be replaced. But when you first have that stuff happen to you, it's easy to just dang, I just it's so easy to give up and not persevere, right? And that was one of the things that really just changed my life, about me getting more into personal development, as well as just researching more about, how can I bring more purpose into my life, and applying maybe some of the principles that I've learned from spiritual things as well as personal development things. I really had to put that more into appliance, because we all know knowledge is power, but the real thing behind that is applied knowledge is power. And that's where I had to really put this into play and really practice what I preached at the time there for what I was learning about this stuff, and really apply it. And so I think that's another thing that just gave me perspective, as I started, rethinking about those things and thinking, okay, what am I going to do now to overcome this huge trial that I've just been through, where I'm in, a lot of debt, and a lot of people, they say they don't have money, or they're like super victimized and have a lot of messed up things going on. This is, a story of that, right? This is a real story of that. And I had to really say to myself, okay, so I come to a realization from, just getting back into spiritual things, personal development things, to really help myself get, counsel myself to really help overcome this trauma. And one of the things I had learned was the importance of knowing that I still have things that I can give to this world. There's things that I can, give back to myself, and learning how to, forgive myself and not really stay in this victim mindset, to still persevere and overcome. I still learned that the important things are to live, love, and matter, right? That's super important. And then I had to learn also over time to, keep not giving up because, you may have heard these phrases before, when you get hit, it's not about how many times you get hit or whatever. It's about how hard you hit back when you get hit and stay up instead of staying down. And that was one of my things is just the whole time is just learning how to turn all my setbacks, because they were basically a setup for making a comeback. And that was my whole thing right there is turning setbacks into comebacks. And that's where that fire set the foundation of improving my spiritual development and my personal development, my mindset to help me prepare me for the journey that I was going to embark on as other things happened in my life. And I can tell you that eventually, over time, I was able to overcome those things of, replacing the things that I had went through traumatizing-wise and obtaining things again to help me use them as a tool instead of a source of being materialism, but more of a tool to help myself and help others. And so I really had to change a lot of my mindset about how I thought about things, how I thought about life, right? And that's where it started pursuing me, that I wanted to really start getting into learning about the Eastern culture, especially the Asian culture more. I'd been fascinated with martial arts and whatnot, and so that took me to another journey. After I graduated college and then also went through the whole fire thing, I had to really change my journey. I really wanted to go through a situation where I'm just like, you know what, I want to get better at being humble. I want to get better at thinking about others, not just myself. I want to get better at a way to, really change things for the better. And here's what happened next. I decided, you know what, because I have nothing to lose here, I don't have that much stuff, I'm going to go ahead and just work like a little quick side job once I, moved back with my mom since I lost everything, right? I decided I wanted to move to Asia and go to Japan, and I didn't have that much knowledge about Japan. I didn't even know the language, but I knew that would be pretty cool to be able to do something that I'd never been able to do before, which is go to Japan. And my dream changed from, one thing to, be able to go to Japan and actually learn how to speak Japanese, learn some other phrases from other Asian countries, and just learn the culture, learn the mindset, learn the, improve on the different types of food that I can eat. Because even though I was originally from New Orleans and I loved my seafood and my Cajun food and things like that, and then right now I'm currently in Dallas, so I've come to learn, different foods, and it was just really cool to just finally just take that huge leap of faith. And I really had come to a point where I had, throughout my whole life and business, this is something else that's also helped me, is that I had to remember anytime I was like scared to take risks or anything, I had to really look at myself and say, you know what, I have to remember this, which is, and you guys should take notice of this as well, pay attention here, doubt your doubts before you doubt yourself or your why or the things that you want to persevere in. And I hope you remember that, because that's super important, is doubt your doubts before you doubt yourself and your why and the things that you want to persevere in, right? And so that was one of the things that was also a key factor, is like, you know what, I'm going to jump, and you know what, when I start to fly down, I'm going to have to, build my wings if I jump here and do something where I've never done before, don't know anybody in Japan, and I have this opportunity to do some things where I can volunteer opportunities to go out there. I didn't know anybody yet, and I didn't know how to speak the language, but you know what, I'm going to jump, and I'm going to, create my wings as I fly down. I might get scratched up along the way, but I'm going to keep pushing forward and persevering, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, because I just learned this messed up stuff, but in a good way with the fire, and I felt like, you know what, I think I can take this to the next level, because this is something that not everybody can do, and I want to see if I can do it, and really test myself. And so I did that, and I went to Japan, and I learned the language over time, but it didn't come overnight. See, there's a little success clue right there. It didn't come overnight. So I want you guys to think about that, because, as you listen to the story, you're also thinking, well, how does this apply to business? A lot of these things apply to business, actually, and I'm giving you some of these clues here to let you know that things don't come overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither does learning Asian languages or other types of high-level difficult languages can be learned overnight. It takes perseverance, right? This is what we've been talking about in the theme here, right? And so that's one of the things that I really want you guys to understand, is that when I went to this country, yeah, sure I was scared, but guess what? Courage is acting in the face of fear regardless. It's going to be there no matter what. When you speak up on stage in front of somebody for the first time, or if you propose to that special someone. You've got some fear in you, but guess what? You act anyway, and that's where the courage comes from, is that jump that I talked about, jumping and growing your wings along the way. And don't worry about getting scratched up. Guess what? It's going to happen no matter what. So you might as well do what you want in this life anyway if you know that you're going to have some failures along the way. And that's one of the things I had to really just get over, sounding stupid. When I started trying to learn the culture and the language and picking up how to read and write in Japan and all those things, I really had to, really just get into this immersion type of situation where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go all in. And I went in with an all-in mentality, and I didn't look back. And I learned to just drop my ego and my pride and say, you know what, why am I doing this? And I looked at my why, and I realized, this is my strong why that was enough to make me cry. And that's how I knew that my why was strong enough. And so that's what I had to do. I just kept pushing and I kept persevering, like I mentioned before, and I kept doing the things to help me learn the language each day to get better and proficient, right? And then it opened up even more doors for me. It helped me to finally, after several years of being there, it helped me get an opportunity to, not only learn the language and speak it fluently, it also opened the doors to make, better, longer-lasting relationships. It helped me learn how to not just think in a, me society, but more of a we society, and learn how to serve others and help others and impact other people's lives, and then share that story with others so that they can do the same, so they're not just thinking about themselves all the time and really help others. And so that's one of the things that really inspired me about Japan, is that their customer service over there is just freaking amazing. And I just thought, I was like, man, it's like, if you guys ever go to Japan, if you've ever been to certain parts of Asia, their customer service in Japan is amazing. They wrap the gifts for you. They're so polite. They even walk you out the door with you. There's so many different cool experiences. The way they treat you with the food, the way that they speak to you when you are in a restaurant or a customer service environment, hotels, etc. So I highly recommend it. Yes, I should probably get an affiliate commission from Japan on that, but that's just a joke there. But it's all about really learning and expanding your horizons. Get out of your comfort zone and go to different places. You'll be surprised what kind of things it does for your world, and the stories that you can bring back to your home that really changes your life and help changes the people's lives around you. And so because that opened up more doors for me in Japan, it opened up a new door for one of the things I also thought would be cool. And, I always had this mindset of thinking different, and one of the things that inspired me with that was Apple. I'm a big Apple fan. I have a lot of Apple products, but I also became proficient with them, and I took my different skill sets with Japanese and technical things that I learned from college, mindset things, and I took that, and I never gave up in my interviews for getting a job at Apple in Japan. And I thought, whoa, okay, I'm trying to get a job at Apple in Japan as a foreigner who's not a native Japanese. I mean, talk about next level, potential challenges there, right? But at the same time, that whole persevering thing. So if you're seeing the common theme here, this is also stuff that you can apply in your business, right? And so guess what, though? I didn't just ace it with flying colors. I had lots of competition, right? You guys have probably noticed that when you apply for different jobs or you did different types of businesses in the past, you failed at it. You could have easily just, failed at it, or you can move on, or you can change your strategy. But there's one thing is that if you just not give up, you will continue to get the results that you want in life. You only fail when you decide to quit. And so I didn't quit. Guess what? I didn't do well in some of the interviews, and other times they didn't even bother to look at my resume. But guess what? I kept persevering. I kept emailing them. I kept handing off my resume. So I kept trying to talk to different managers to see which one I would jive with different. Because, hey, that's another thing you guys will discover over time as you continue to work with your different team members or team leaders or people that you're working to help with in life or in your current jobs. You want to have a better relationship with them. You should really get to know the different color gem personality strengths, and that's another thing that you'll really want to learn as well, because you've got and I won't go into super in depth right now because I've got some other parts I'm going to focus on the call, but it is something that you want to keep in mind that will really help you in your business and your life and your relationships, and that is the color gems. There's 4 main portions, and all of us have a bits and pieces of these, but some of them are more dominant than others, and you can use that to your advantage in a good way, an honest way, to help you with having better relationships in each of your life balances. And that's the ruby red personalities. They win, 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 no matter what, right? They want to, dominate. They want to, get that recognition. Then there's the Sapphire Blues, who are exciting. They just love life. They want to enjoy life, right? And have fun. And then there's the Emerald Greens, who, want to understand how the world works. They want to learn things. They love the details. They love the data. They love getting into the technical things, things like that. And then you've got the yellows. They're the pearl yellows. They're the people that they want to save the world. They want to give back to society. They want to help serve others in different ways. So each of us have these different personality traits, but some of us have more dominant ones than others. And so you can always act on your strengths and use them as assets. And that's one of the things that I'm about to get to next here in the face here is after I finally got the job at Apple, after persevering so much, I started learning how to use those different personality strengths to help me work well with the different people that I was working with. I was working with Americans. I was working with Japanese people and other people from other countries. And so I had to learn how to work well with people who were basically, celebrities that would come in from different countries on concert tours that would come into those areas, and we'd have, consult them on some, high-level business and music equipment or whatnot, or certain programs that they needed for their business or whatever. And so helping them with those things was very important to help match it with the right personality, but not getting goo-goo-eyed or speaking to, movie stars or speaking to people that were famous, in other industries. And so you have to learn how to speak to them in certain ways so that you're not looking like a fanboy, right? And so that was something that really helped me with the personal development stuff, and that I didn't give up, and I kept learning it. And, I did make some mistakes with the learning that stuff at first. And just like each of you, as you start to learn marketing with digital altitude or any type of business that you do, you'll come to understand that the way you talk to someone is not the way you talk to everybody when you're approaching and giving marketing to them and helping them, whether it's through text messages or through email messages. Speaking to them that would speak in a way that would help touch on the different personality points is very important, right? And then the other thing, too, that it took me to the next level of the story here, which is it started to me getting interesting where I loved my job at Apple, but at the same time, I wanted to start growing my own dream. I wanted to find a way that I can have my story reach others and help other people to inspire, put their stories out there in the world and believe in themselves and see that there is greatness inside them and that they could do something that would help them get beyond the victim mindset, get beyond the trials that they went through or are going through, learning how to be resourceful. And that's the next part that I wanted to share with you here is that one of the things that I think a lot of people are struggling with this current business or any other things that you're currently pursuing is that a lot of you may find it difficult to invest in your business or being resourceful. And I think that's a lot of things that really people need to really understand is that you are your greatest asset. You have one of the greatest assets that you can turn into any type of asset if you just remember that you have to be super, super resourceful, and that is in everything you do. If you get the skill of just being resourceful and you get repetitive with it, you get lots of perseverance with it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to learn how to find different clever ways to come up with the funds to raise money for your business or raise money for a big hospital bill or raise money to help a sick relative. See how being resourceful is very important. It's not just like looking at your bank account and say, I don't have money, or it's not just looking at, your credit cards and say, I don't have that much credit cards or I'm in debt, I can't do that. You got to take out the language of I can't or I don't have and change it with how can I? How can I be resourceful with this? It's just a shortage of ideas. And if you increase the idea list, then that's going to be really important, right? And so I think that's really important that as you approach different methods to do that, you're going to find that you'll be able to be more resourceful as you research things online to help you with with different types of refinancing methods or different types of investing methods. Or what's really good is even if you don't go the borrowing route, it's really great if you can be using your perseverance to look into the mindset of, hey, you know what, I'm going to look at what I currently have as skill sets that I can use to raise additional funds for whatever thing I'm trying to raise. Like I said, whether it be a hospital bill or getting rid of the student loan debt or investing all in your business, no matter what it is, you'll be able to do that. And you can turn some of your greatest skill sets into some of your greatest assets that can give you that extra income off to the side while you're working a job and change things around. And, even in your business, you're going to have ups and downs in your business. I'm just going to be real with you guys. That's one of the true tests of the perseverance of a true entrepreneur who doesn't give up. And that is, you're going to have ups and downs in your life. Well, guess what? You're also going to have ups and downs in your business. Does that mean you give up? No. Because if you got a strong why, right, you're going to do whatever it takes, right? Because one of the things that I've also learned with just being resourceful is it's about how bad you want things. And as you guys may have heard before, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I remember hearing a story from one of my mentors where that was what happened to them, that their mentor asked them to come out into the ocean to get a coaching session, didn't understand why he had to keep going out into the ocean deeper and deeper with his mentor until he was at basically head level where he could barely breathe above the water, and all it took for his mentor was just to hold him down for a little bit under the water where he couldn't even move up enough because it was so deep into the water. And he fought so hard to get out, and eventually he was able to break out of that hold of being pushed under the water by his mentor. And he's like, what the heck what's wrong with you? He's like, see, that just shows you that's how bad you wanted it. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe from getting out of this water, you will be successful. You learn that and you remember how bad you wanted to breathe from this. I want you to take that same concept and apply it in your life and your business. And that's what happened with that person. It was a huge wake-up call to that person that learned that from their mentor. And so I really like that story because it's so true. We all have to be reminded of those things. When you do that, you'll really get to the next level in relationships and business and life and health, because even when you're working out, if you ever get to that point where you made those resolutions that you're trying to work out and you just kind of get to a point where you do it for 2 weeks and you're just like, dang it, I really want to lose weight, right? I'm sure a lot of us have been through that, right? And you're basically, you got that New Year's resolution or whatever, and then you're just like, you know what, I got these things that are coming up, and I really want to hit up some of this yummy food again, or you guys know what I'm talking about, right? And that's why it's super important where you're just like, I think I'm just going to start over again maybe a few months from now. I got too many things going on. But if you want this as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Do whatever it takes, you got to be persevering in waking up early if you got to, or going to bed later if you have to. Change your diet, change your mindset, and you'll change your life, right? And so I think that's what a lot of people really have to understand when they do that, because that's where things will change for your business as well. And that's why being resourceful can be, one of your greatest assets, and turning one of your skill sets into some of your assets. Like, some of the things that I've had to do in the past, and I had ups and downs in my business, is, I'd, made 6 figures before, and I had ups and downs in my business. I had to learn how to do additional consulting things, or maybe some freelance work to bring in additional funds for, my business, or additional funds to help take care of my mom who is disabled, things like that, where I was going to do whatever it takes instead of getting into other ways. And I thought, okay, this is a good way to be resourceful and come up with additional funds instead of, waiting for handouts or whatever. And that's what really changed everything from my life, is turning some of my skill sets into my assets that helped me raise more funds for different parts of my life that I had ups and downs with. And guess what? Because of that, I was able to, get to those benefits of seeing the ups and downs of my business. And that's what's going to happen with life too. We look at life and business, and it's not a straight line up. We all know that when you climb the mountain, just like we talk about here in the culture here, is that ascend, that peak, and then that apex is where you get. But if you look at the mountains, like in real life, it's not like a straight arrow up. It's got a bunch of rocky points. It's got these weird slopes and angles. And that's how it is with the mountains too. You just got to keep persevering. You got to make sure you have that support system. You got to make sure you are doing this with a team that helps you keep pushing through. And if you got people around there who are being negative, love them from a distance, but don't give up on your dream, and don't give up on being persistent, right? And so I really hope that a lot of this stuff really helps you with the information that can help you, because this really helped me, get to a point where I was able to make 5 figures monthly and then 6 figures in a year from doing the right things and being consistent and taking consistent daily action and following my mentors and doing whatever it takes to, get resourceful if I was ever short on funds to do different things that I wanted to do to take my business to the next level, or other things, like I said, with health or travel, whatever, right? And so I really hope a lot of this stuff really helps you guys. If you haven't seen enough points that I just shared from several of these stories here about the importance of perseverance, then you really got to really look deep down inside and really think about these points again and review them, because this is a lot of points that can share with you how you can be perseverant and also be using your greatest resource, which is you as the greatest resource, and you will get the things that you want in life if you never give up, right? And I can definitely tell you that that's what's going to help you become above average, and thinking above average is just take yourself out of that victim mindset and say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to change my situation and help other people around me as well. And whether it's things that motivate you, or whether it's saving the world, or whether it's enjoying the world, or whether it's understanding the world more, no matter what your personality type dominant traits are, each of these things can apply to you in your life, in your business. And so I really appreciate you hearing this message, and I definitely will be happy to answer some more questions from John if he's got anything he'd love to ask me, so that I can give you guys some additional insights from different angles to really help you guys apply this in your life and your business. Go ahead, John.
You know, Jason, first of all, thank you, because you just laid out an entire picture of what it was like for you in your own evolution, and taking some interesting actions, like moving to a country where you didn't know the language, and obviously, you know, you painted a picture tonight about how different that culture can appear to somebody like myself. I grew up in the United States, and you know, I've not been to Japan. I know some, you know, people from Japan, and you know, there's just something different about it. And you mentioned the customer service example. So I got some interesting mental pictures about that. Now you're making me want to go and see that country. However, the instructive things that I got from this, number one, was that you were talking about, for the most part, about who you were, not so much what you did, but who you were throughout that whole process. So you persevered because you had a reason to persevere. This kind of goes right along with what we were talking about this morning on the wake-up call, where we were talking about how the 4 steps that Napoleon Hill mentioned in developing persistence.
Exactly.
And a definite purpose. Like, without that, you don't even have a shot, right? So, like, why are you here? Well, if you don't know that, then, you know, what are we doing here? So, knowing that and hearing, I'm going to just share with you something that I think is very revealing, and that is one of the things you said early on in your talk here, was that it's not about knowledge being power, but it's the applied knowledge. That's the power. And, you know, Jason, having been around the self-help and personal growth, you know, field for as long as I have, I've been studying this kind of stuff for 30 years now. And not only that, but having written books and done many workshops and spoken from stages around the world, I've heard a lot of stuff. And I've learned after, you know, some time to start to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. And when I hear people blurt out something like knowledge is power because they heard it on a TV commercial or something, I'm thinking, you know what, this person's on the path, but they haven't quite seen that far down the path. When I hear somebody say applied knowledge is power, now I know who I'm talking to. Because, you know, I actually said that in my first book. Applied knowledge is power. That's called wisdom, by the way. Wisdom is power. And those answers that we get from applying the knowledge, which accrue to our own level of wisdom, right? All of that comes through action. None of that comes through sitting around and philosophizing about stuff. Now, you had a situation where you had to take action, whether we're talking about, you know, attempting to put out fires and almost asphyxiating yourself, you know, as you were ill-equipped to be a firefighter at that point. One of my current students, by the way, is a firefighter, professional firefighter. He may have had some tips for you, but alas, he was not there at that moment. But here you are.
Wish I would have heard those tips. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right. But here you are, and that was how long ago when that incident, that life-changing incident happened?
Yeah, the fire happened over, I'd say over maybe 15 years ago, maybe.
Okay, so you've had time to recover, so that's good. And now here you are, you know, sharing and assisting others, you know, other burgeoning entrepreneurs, and, you know, finding their path. But the thing, like I said before, that comes up for me is that because you took the action because you had a reason to take the action, and because you were motivated enough to just follow through and to develop some wisdom, right, to apply the knowledge and to find a new path out of the adversity, which obviously ended one path that you were on, and perhaps ended it more abruptly than you had expected, but did it not also reveal a new path? You know, I said something, again,
Sure
I'll refer to my writing. There's that old saying, you know, one door closes, another opens, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, it's dark in the hallway. So I felt like I added my own little spin on there, right? When I wrote that, I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, one door closes, another opens, but it's dark in the hallway. I can't even see the next door. Where the hell's the next door? So knowing that all of our goals, and here's where I'm going with this, all of our goals, all of our great intentions, and the fulfillment of those intentions lie in the realm of the unknown. I mean, if you already knew how to reach a goal, you would have already reached it, right? So what are we really doing here? We're evolving, man. We're taking deliberate and we're taking responsibility. Yes, we're taking responsibility for our own thinkingness and doingness to get it, what it is we want to experience in this life. Now, what puts us on that path? In your case, you cited one example of a fire. In some cases, we got people here who are listening right now. We are going to open these lines for some interaction with Jason tonight. But we got people here who have never considered entrepreneurship prior to finding digital altitude, right? And I know this because I talk to students, right? So this is their first entrepreneurial endeavor. And good news for them, they found this, right? We've got other people here who have been through a variety of entrepreneurial ventures, and some have panned out and some have been, you know, a loss and whatever. And so they're looking for a more resourceful way to do things. So I'm thinking, Jason, that the experience that you bring and that you share with perhaps people that you sponsor, right? I mean, you're actively marketing here with Digital Altitude, and you're of course sharing right now that your experience can be part of the example that people, I know for myself, that I needed to see when I was new in this whole industry, is to just see people who had gone there and done it, just to give me perhaps some hope, right? And as limp as hope is, I mean, hope is just like the onboarding, okay? But then from there you develop belief, and then you grow into a knowing. Like, you've got a knowingness about your own ability to succeed that the new person may not have. And I think if there's one thing that we can get just from what you've shared so far tonight, is that that can be developed for anyone, regardless of how stark the circumstances may be at the outset. That you are, in fact, bigger than your circumstances. And you've proven that to yourself. And I think a lot of people are in the process of proving that to themselves right now. But that proof has to come through our action. This may sound too simple to a guy like you or me because we've been on the path for a while. Well, of course, John, you know, we take action. What the hell else are we doing here? However, go online right now and see the glut of opportunities where people can, you know, click the magic easy button and not learn anything and not evolve and not develop themselves, but, you know, somehow some magical system or thing or phenomenon outside of them is going to do everything for them, and they don't need to persist or persevere. That they don't need to evolve, they don't need to grow. That the magic is not them, the magic is somewhere outside of them, and of course if they buy the magic from this magical person who's got the magical system, then they're going to have the results. But you said it right at the end there, that you had the resources within you, that you in fact were the answer. But again, I'll say, that answer is revealed by our action, not by our thoughts about the action, but by the action itself. For people who get the depth of what Jason was just talking about, this is huge. This is huge. So when is it time to take action? Well, right now. Right now. Now, for our new people,
Exactly.
Jason, they're in the steps, right? And they're preparing to take action. And that's exactly where they should be. Now, once you're through the steps, you're satisfied with your position here inside Digital Altitude, you're ready to start marketing, then it's all hands on deck, like your life depends on it. Like you're putting out that fire with 4 makeshift secondhand fire extinguishers, and you're walking down to the local Target in your skivvies to get yourself a pair of jeans. Did any of your neighbors have a pair of pants to give you? Were you actually in your underwear when you were doing that?
I had my boxer shorts on, and yeah, I didn't get any clothes yet. I had to, like, basically go into the target right after that, and then go get the close.
Wow. You know what? If I
Yep.
was your neighbor, I would have given you, some money, but I've also given you a pair of pants or something.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. You see the sign that says, "We only serve people with such and such clothes on," right? The typical restaurant sign.
Right.
Here I am going totally against that, and then they're like, "Oh, well, look what happened to that guy." Never mind. I think we're just going to not apply that to him.
Yeah. They could probably smell the smoke as well, right?
Exactly.
You came in smelling like an incense stick or something. A piece of firewood. Hey, listen, we could probably talk all night. We're already 50 minutes into this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up these lines for Q&A. Here's what we do in the Q&A session is we talk about the topic. In this case, perseverance, Jason's story, your path of perseverance as you're getting your business going here. Maybe you want to share some things that you've personally experienced or gotten through, right, to add on to this experience that Jason shared with us. What won't be helpful is if we ask questions about, how do I make an appointment with my coach, or how do I contact support? You just click on the help button. So if we can keep it on topic and share the time, that would be really awesome for everybody, okay? But as far as like logistics and little support issues and stuff, that's all handled inside the system or by clicking the help button on your DA member's site. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into Q&A mode now. And so one moment here. Jason, anything you wanted to say before I do that?
No, I'm looking forward to taking on different people's questions and really helping them, whatever they have. I love this portion as well.
Beautiful. Here we go. Hold on a second. All right. Q&A session has started. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can click *6 on your phone or on your Skype to engage the Q&A queue. The Q&A queue. Yes, that's what it's called, the queue. And our first caller, who's about to go live, is Ricky. Ricky, you are live on the air. How you doing, Ricky?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see. What is something that you would like to share with us that you do every morning to really power you just in case adversity does hit you in the face or you get a little lazy here and there? Just something to really keep you going.
Absolutely. Great question, Ricky. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, Ricky, that's a great question. This is going to really help for a lot of people, including yourself. One of my morning rituals that I like to do that helps me with my life and my business is I always think about all my important balances of spiritual, personal development, family, health, and wealth. I make sure when I look at my whole day and the day before that I am doing those things every day. And when I take consistent daily action, I don't always have to give equal amounts of time to each of them, but for my morning ritual to help me get going for the day, to answer your question, when I look at my life balances, I take that first thing in the morning. When I wake up, now everybody's got their different preferences in life, and we all respect each other's beliefs, whether it's about the universe or God. So one of the things for me is I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe in God. So one of the things that I do is I say a prayer, each morning to God, and with gratitude and requests and blessings and whatnot for others. And then the next point after that, I do some spiritual development things that help me grow and learn some new things, or things that I can reapply back in my life, because they're all things that we learn and we can apply. So do that for my spiritual development time for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning. Then after that, I get some breakfast in, and then after that, I take a little bit of time out for some meditation. Just a little bit of time, not like 30 minutes or an hour, like maybe 15 to 20 minutes max. And then after that, I take some time out for personal development. Now, in the beginning, when I had a job, I would just wake up earlier and I would sacrifice an hour of my time so I can get enough time in to do my spiritual development time and my personal development time. And then right after that, I would listen to different motivational videos each day in the morning from YouTube. I would look up like the keyword motivational videos or inspiring videos or those types of keywords. I would type it into YouTube and I pull it up, and they're like a lot of those are on average about 5 minutes. Some of them are better than others, so you'll have to kind of see which ones fit to your personality more. We were talking about the personality types there. And when I do each of those things every morning, every day, man, that gets me totally like amped. And it gets me like to the next level where I can just feel like, you know what, no matter what things I'm going through my life, my challenges or things that are going on in my relationship or things that are going up and down in my business, I'm going to use this stuff to just give me the fuel and the gasoline to just keep pushing forward no matter what. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
That's
you're
awesome
welcome.
stuff. Thanks for asking that question, Ricky. And I can tell you, Jason, that I've said it many times, that more important than what we do is who's doing it. So that whole personal development aspect to make your efforts, the things that you're going to do, to make them so much more potent, that is very, very valid. And I think that it's something that has often been overlooked by people who, they just want, give me the nuts and bolts, man. Give me, how many emails should I send? Hey, hold on a second. Who's sending these emails? Right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, thanks again, Ricky. We're going to go to our next caller, which is Rosemary from Nairobi, Kenya. Rosemary, you're live on the air. Rosemary, can
Hey,
you...
good morning, everybody.
There she
Jason,
is.
thank you very much. Yes, I am. Hello?
Yes, we are
Hello,
here.
can
We
you
have
hear
a bit
me?
of a delay. We have a bit of a delay. Sorry, Rosemary. I'll stop talking. Go ahead. You've got the floor.
All right. Thank you so much for your conversation. It's always glad to be reminded that you need to be grateful every morning. I wanted to ask a question. How well do you work with your team in Digital Attitude? Do you get in touch with them? Do you work with them? Or do you set up meetings such as this one that we're on right now? Do you motivate
yes.
them so that they are all in line with what you're doing?
Yes. So the short answer is yes. That's a great question. And then to take it even further for you, yes, I work with them and I make sure that I connect with them. And some of you guys might be hearing this for the first time, but my sponsor, his name is Alex Zuberev, and I'm in the team called Project Apex. And one of the things that's really helped our teams get really high on the leaderboards and to help our team members also succeed is that whole team culture of including them, whether it be in a Facebook chat, team chat, or a Skype chat, group chat.
Yeah.
And then reaching out to them through giving them notifications about what we're doing for the week, through SMS, text, phone messages, connecting with them through Facebook private chat, sending emails to them, and doing maybe like a once a week webinar or some type of like video chat where we are able to see their faces and talk to them and see them eye to eye and face to face and help answer their questions and give them some value training and then give them some instruction. And we all take turns as team members. We don't try to just dominate the whole conversation and talk. We actually try to make sure we got time for everybody. So I hope that helps you because that's one of the things that's really helped myself and my team members succeed. And we have a lot less people quitting and a lot more people succeeding because they see that this is real. They see that people care about them. And I think that's the difference between some of the leaders here is that the ones that really put their time into their team is the ones that really help things flourish even more. And so it takes you out of that just being a recruiter or just a traffic ad spender mindset to a team leader, team builder, and a inspirational mass influencer person that was going to change other people's lives and inspire them. So I believe you can do the same as you take advice from this and apply it in your life.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Rosemary, all the way from Kenya. Thanks for participating. And we've only got one more in queue. So if any other questions are looking to get queued up, now's the time. But we are going to go to our last caller in queue, which is Juma Jango. Juma Jango, you are live on the air.
Oh, hi. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I have just a simple question here. Like, how do you really deal with somebody, like a close friend, who's really doing maybe more than 2 to 3 jobs, and then you're trying to really help him with this golden worldwide opportunity, and then he just can't even listen to you, go to Google, YouTube, and try to look for all those negative reviews, and then start telling you, oh, this is scam. How can you really help somebody like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, basically what at the end of the day, there's positive and negative things about every single celebrity, businesses in the world. And so at the end of the day, people have to learn how to use a filter. They also have to look at what are the fruits of that business? What are the results of that business? What kind of positive things are they seeing overall result-wise to kind of override all the typical stuff out that kind of clouds and brings confusion. And I think that's what I look at is that when I speak to people that are getting results and I see what kind of how they're feeling, that gives me an idea that this is real. And instead of just kind of always just listening and getting confused with all this stuff out there and getting kind of like, deep into the weeds there, I focus on what are these people that I'm reaching out to, what kind of lifestyle are they having? How are they treating others? Are they happy in their marriage? Are they getting results? Are they making money? Like, I look at all that stuff to speak to real people instead of just kind of like looking around on the internet all the time. And so, but with the person that also has, 3 jobs and they find it hard to kind of break out of that mold type feeling, I think it's also important to help them understand the importance of collapsing time frames for putting some time into this business or putting some time for personal development so that they can keep, get to a point where they'll eventually see the light at the end of the tunnel to quit some of those jobs to free themselves up to, apply things for their dream no matter what their dreams are. And so that way they're not going to be in that situation of 3 jobs forever if they apply the knowledge correctly and take consistent action, because there are 4 seasons in the areas of trials in people's lives and challenges. Eventually, winter will end. And it's really important to help your friends or your team members understand that no matter what challenges they're going through, the winter will end, and eventually it will get to spring, and then it gets really hot and awesome during the summer. And so you just have to be prepared for those cycles in life and also in business as well. So I hope that really helps him to remember to collapse time frames. Look at those lunch times. Look at those 10 or 15-minute breaks. Use a bathroom break. Go number 1 or number 2 real quick, and then go listen to something while you're going number 1 or 2. Like, it's all about collapsing time frames. Commuting to your job and listening to audio that will help them versus waiting until they get home to do everything. It's all about, we all got the same 24 hours a day, so I really hope that helps you and your friends.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you as well.
You know what? Jason, after years of hosting calls like this, I've never had someone give the advice that you need to go do a number 2. Like, that's the first time I've ever heard that on this call. Thank you. Thank you. What a breakthrough, man. I'm enlightened.
Exactly. Hey, I believe in pattern interrupts, and you guys will learn this as well, who's ever listened to the call here. Pattern interrupts are everything, and that's a perfect one right there.
There you go. There you go. And for anyone who doesn't know what number 2 is, yeah, look it up. Google it. Google it. You might see some positive reviews and negative reviews about it. There you go. There you go. You can have your extended stay in the toilet. So good stuff, Jason. My goodness. You know what? I do want to just tag on to what you were just saying, because Juma asked I think a very common question, although it doesn't get asked like every day, which is fine. But it goes through a lot of people's minds quite often as they start to engage, with prospects or with, like in this case, he had a friend who was skeptical and perhaps negative. I heard a saying that what you're not up on, you're down on, right? So people who don't understand marketing, sales, online, business and all this kind of stuff, what you're not up on, you're down on. People are quick to reject things that are foreign to them. And, we could call that ignorance. We can call that whatever, xenophobia. We don't have to call it anything. We could just observe it. But I can tell you that as digital altitude continues to grow, just like anything of worth, the proverb, yes, it's actually a proverb that comes up for me as you were speaking. I was thinking of something Solomon said. He said, "Where no oxen are, the crib is clean." Right? So the fact that we've got, here come critics online, naysayers, skeptics, whatever, the fact that we are starting to get some attention means what? It means that we're putting some oxen in the stable here. If nothing was happening, well, that would be a bigger problem, right? So, like Solomon said, where no oxen are, the crib is clean. So this is a very good thing that we are creating a splash. And, for anybody who's brand new here, I want you to understand something. Digital Altitude has broken, I believe, every record in terms of monthly revenues, earnings at, this length of time in the business. This whole operation is not even a year old. We've broken every record in the top tier direct sales space. My friends, that
Yep.
is something of note, and you're a part of that, right? So just think about
Amen.
this. When I first became successful, Jason, in this whole industry here, direct sales, I joined a company that was 1 year old at the time, and that's considered great timing, right? I mean, here you've got a company that's gotten on its feet, and it's it's already a year old, and yet it's still kind of unknown in the marketplace. It hasn't quite hit momentum. Everybody who's hearing this right now, you're even earlier than that. You're even earlier, and I can tell you that because you've got somebody at the helm, in this case, Michael Force, right? You've got somebody in the helm with not only the level of experience that he's got, but the distinctions and the high level of affinity that he has for marketing, because he emerged from marketing himself, right? He was a marketer, and he built this for marketers, right? So it was built by marketers for marketers. You've got a tremendous advantage. So I don't mean to make this like a sales pitch. I mean, everybody who's listening to this is already in, right? You're already a member here. I just want you to grasp the magnitude of what you've got here, just from a timing standpoint and the advantages that are available to you. And there are people right now who are struggling in other businesses. So this kind of goes along with what Juma was asking. There are people who are already entrepreneurial. They're not skeptical about, can people actually make money online? Well, of course people can. Of course they can. There's lots of people making a lot of money online, okay? So there are people who are already sympathetic with your purposes, who perhaps right now are, dragging their ass around in some lesser opportunity, and the timing may be right for them, where they see your ad, right? Or maybe you just get in communication with people. Maybe you put out a video like Jason was talking about, getting on YouTube, getting an inspiring video or something instructive, right? And maybe they find you because you've become someone valuable in the marketplace just by putting yourself out there. Next thing you know, you're on Skype with them, and you give them a link, and they get started, and they're your next top burner. Full Apex, here we go. Let's get the job done, right? So how does that happen? That happens by you being valuable in the marketplace. And we've talked about this before, Jason. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it on Wake Up Calls. The great late Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. So that's our task. And as you exemplified this, through your trials and tribulations, right, and getting through it, you've obviously become valuable not only to yourself but to others as well. So anyway, Jason, in closing, I just want to thank you for sharing this hour with us here tonight. Everybody, if you're yeah, thank you. And if you're on Facebook, everybody, give Jason some love. And if you're on the chat roll right now here on dalivecall.com, give Jason some love. Jason, I don't know if you're seeing the chat roll, but people got a lot of benefit here. So thank you once again. Any closing comments from you before we wrap this up?
Absolutely, yeah. And once again, this has been a huge privilege and pleasure to serve in the marketplace and really help everyone in different ways. And so I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen during with your busy schedule and the things that you're going through in life, no matter whether positive or other things. So remember, all your challenges that you have are really all these things that are really going to be meant to temper you like a diamond and help you in different ways. So don't look at all your challenges as like negative things, but look at them as challenges to help you become something better and reach your full version. Instead of thinking that you're just always going to stay the 1.0 version, that you're going to become the 2.0 version, and you're always going to be growing. And one of the things that we've said in the past is if you're not growing, you're dying. And I want you guys to always be thinking about, how can I grow in health? How can I grow in my family, my marriage, or health and wealth in my business, and take it to the next level to help me fulfill my dreams? So just always remember these things. And I appreciate each of you. We believe in each of you. We know that you guys can do this. You just got to continue to believe in yourself and remember the things that we spoke about on this call, and just apply it every day, and you're going to get through these things. You're going to get better over time. You're going to bring about more certainty in your business and your life as you operate out of certainty, and it'll be inevitable over time. It's just you're going to have the things that you want in this life if you continue to pursue it and never give up. So we appreciate you, and yeah, definitely if you ever want to look me up, it's Jason, and then last name is Majoue. Look me up on Facebook. Love to help out and chat with you no matter what teams you're on, and we appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Very good. Thanks again, Jason. You'll be able to find him in the Digital Altitude Facebook group. So check that out and give Jason some acknowledgement there. We'll see everybody again tomorrow morning on the wake-up call with Tatiana Tuesday, tomorrow morning. I'll see you guys there. Have a great night. Bye for now.